Hi, well I'm just doing some more work for the seat for the back stool that I've been making. And here's the seat itself. I need to now get the legs to actually fit through these holes. And so far I've turned the legs fairly roughly and I've dried them in my airing cupboard. So they would have dried slightly ovalized. But I made them slightly larger than the actual holes. So what I'm doing now is just taking them down a little bit to fit through these holes, and then I'll wedge them. But also by taking them down, I'm making them round. Okay, I'm just putting a bit of oil on the next leg so it doesn't make too much noise on the lathe. Wrapping the cord round and then just tightening it up. It's fine. Let's just check roughly how much to come off this one. It's fractional, it's like 1/2 millimetre or so. It's not a lot. Bit of a knot on here, slightly irritating. Right, that's fine for that one. So that's 2. One more to go. So that's the 3-legged stool, roughly assembled there. Well, I've just been cutting some wedges to fit into the top of the stool legs. So they're just brown oak little wedges. And the idea is I'll coat these in glue, and I'll coat the top of the leg in a nice bit of glue, hammer it in the stool seat as hard as I can and whop the wedges down, and that will make a nice strong fixture for each leg. So I'll do that next. It's worth giving a bit of thought to how one lines up the wedges, because what you don't want is the wedge to be forcing the wood apart and actually putting tension on the seat to possibly even split it. So the grain here is going across like that. Well, I wouldn't want to put the wedge that way because it would split the grain open. I want to put the wedge in the opposite direction so that I'm not forcing that grain apart. So because the grain goes that way, the wedge goes the other way. And it's actually the same with the legs. I've got the grain here going across, and so I've put the wedge split the other way, and like that I'm not again splitting the leg by forcing it apart as much as I would be if I'd done the line the other way around. So just a little tip worth bearing in mind. So I'm just popping the last leg in, so that's been glued, coated in glue. I'll just give it a gentle tap home. I was going to leave this one up, but I'm going to just prune that off. These flush cut saws are very useful. There we are. It's better. Yep, that's more what I wanted. Right, haven't lost my wedge. I've been a little bit worried about the thinness of this stool seat, and I was thinking, oh, what can I do to sort of slightly brace it or toughen it up generally? Anyway, it suddenly occurred to me, why not put a drawer in underneath? So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just doing a couple of little dovetail joints here at the ends, and essentially these bits of spalted beech will be bracing pieces. So I'll actually glue them and fix them, probably with dowels, to the underside of the stool, and that will reinforce it. At the back I've just been jointing it in, so I've actually cut a little sort of recess, so it'll be a nice snug tight fit when that's all glued together, and it will actually brace the stool. And actually having a little drawer underneath the stool seems quite nice to me. I quite like that little idea. So there you are. It's one of those situations where necessity perhaps dictates design. Well, I've doweled in the undercarriage, so dovetail joints on the ends there, and it's all doweled nicely. So I've just got it gluing up at the moment. I've just been placing a few little pencils on the back of the chair just to get an idea what spindle heights might look like. I actually do want this to be a back stool, so I am going to keep the back quite low, and actually I quite like it with the pencils there. Anyway, one of my friends pulled this bit of wood out of a hedge, and it's a bit gnarly and rickety, and I'm just wondering if maybe I could pole lathe bits of it to make some spindles. So I think I'll have a go. It may not work because it is a bit gnarly and a bit knotty, but I quite like it. It sort of looks like a yellowy, dense... He called it snake wood, and actually I must ask him what he means, because I'm not aware of a snake wood, so it's something new to me. Anyway, give it a go, see what it does. Well, I've cut out 4 pieces, but that's all I've got, nothing spares. One of the tools I quite enjoy using from time to time is my Stanley Continental drill, and this is quite a heavy old beast, but it's quite nice for a non-powered drill. It's got a rotation here of about 7 revolutions of the drill bit to one of the handle, and to change speed it's quite ingenious really. All you do is you take the handle off and you clip it on the other side, where you get something like 2 revolutions. You have to unscrew this handle as well. Well, here's the drawer base. So this is the underside of the stool, and I've just fitted the sort of floor to the drawer compartment, and I've chamfered the sides on it, really just to make it look a bit more decorative and make it look thinner. Here's the sort of front-on view of the drawer, or drawer compartment. So there are the drawer components already cut out and doweled, so I'll get those glued up next. I've managed to turn up 4 spindles for the little stool on my pole lathe, so unfortunately no great mistakes there. So I'm going to fit these now. They've been actually in my airing cupboard, a nice warm dry place, for a week or so, probably a bit more actually, and I was just wondering if they were dry. And one way I find you can sort of test for dryness of wood is to see if it rings a little bit. That sort of does it. Anyway, the backup modern high-tech solution is to use a little moisture meter thing, and I mean this is only a cheap one, but I do use it quite often just for checking bits of green wood to see what moisture content they're at, and if I want some wet wood to join into some dry wood. It's quite a useful little thing to have. Anyway, these are fine. They're coming out very low readings. My seat blank itself is at 12%, 14% air at the moment, so I'll whop these in, and as the seat dries a bit more it will actually clamp round these spindles even better. So I'll get the spindles in now. Right, I'm just trimming these spindles round, so just using my chisel here and just taking a little bit off as you go around. And they're slightly oversized for the holes at the moment, not by very much. So it's something like 1 millimetre all round, and I'll push them in the hole, see if they fit. And normally what happens when you do that, as you probably know, you get a nice little bit of sort of pinching on the wood, which tells you where to take a little bit more off. So try and keep it as fairly straight as I can. I'm sinking them into the seat quite deeply actually. So I've got 3 of the back spindles in, and there's just 1 more to go to get them into the seat. Well, I haven't glued them yet, but I've got the spindles into position. Just thought I'd just show you one of the little sort of tips that I have. I find it personally quite useful. When I'm trying to sort of line up the spindles, you twist them around and you get them to fit in a nice direction. I just put a little pencil line on the front and on the seat. I'll zoom in, if this works. Yeah, that's coming. I think that's probably as close as I can get with this little compact. But anyway, look, pencil on the seat, 1 on the spindle, then you know you've got them lined up right. Quite a good little trick. Anyway, one I use quite a lot. I've just been making a little sort of handle for the drawer, so it's just a simple little handle there, but you just pull on and I've hollowed it out underneath. Actually very similar to the ones I made for the tool cabinet. It'll go on the drawer front like that. I've just been giving the chair a very nice sand with some very fine sandpaper to get a good surface, and I'm now going to be applying some Danish oil, and I've got a diluted mix first of all, so Danish oil with turpentine, and the reason it's diluted is really to help the Danish oil sink into the grain of the wood. So I'll get this first coat on, which will give an idea of the colour, and take it from there. It will need 3 or 4 coats, but this first coat will get it nicely settling in, and you get the richness of the grain coming out. I thought to drop a bit down. I do like elm wood. It has a beautiful grain. There we are, look at that. Lovely rich colour. And where it actually looks quite light, it suddenly goes quite a bit darker. The little drawer will get separate treatment. This is where the grain really is enhanced with the Danish oil. That's the little drawer. Have we got that on camera? Yeah, there we are. Try and get the shadows and the lights off it. There, that's the drawer front. So it does look nice. This will sink in quite quickly, being the first coat, and because it's got the turpentine mix in there as well. Some along the back. I may need a little, oh no, it is going into those carvings. I was wondering if I would need a little brush, but it's sinking in okay, I think. May need a little bit of final treatment on those. And then the ash on the legs. They suddenly start to blend in a bit more. And I've used spalted beech on the underside. So that comes up again with lovely grain figuring. Well, I've just been giving the stool a third coat of Danish oil, and it's really coming up to now quite a nice rich lustre in the grain. And I'm very pleased with that. It's a little bit different, a little bit quirky perhaps, but makes a very attractive little piece of furniture. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video.